Down. I hope our internet is not down.
Oh, I think we're live now. It says end broadcast. Hi, this is Sean from Wings for Life International. I am a returning citizen here hosting the show today for Wings Week in Review. Today, I have an exciting guest, Franklin Schargel, who wrote this book, Preventing School Violence, and many other books. I will introduce him in just a minute, but our executive director, our founder, AnnEdenfield Sweet, is going to tell you a little bit about what happened this week at Wings Week in Review.
Hi there. Well, always around here, it is not boring or dull. That is for sure. We've had quite the week. Let's see. We started off with our Wings for Life. Oh my gosh, Diane. We had a great famous movie star. Starred with Elvis Presley and so many TV shows and so many different movies, Diane McBain. But she shared her tragic story of a producer, date rape, and then another attack on her. And so she's turned her life from being, in the movies and all the things that she was doing, and then found an additional focus to focus in on, and that was helping women that were abused. And she did a fabulous job for us. If you have not seen her talk, you definitely need to go to our YouTube channel and check it out. Last week, Diane McBain, excellent talk. This week, we didn't plan it this way, but somebody else was sick, and so they backed up. We've got another woman, Shelley Rep, here in Albuquerque, who is an excellent speaker. She has been on Wings Week in Review already, and she is going to be talking again about what are we calling? Trafficking, human trafficking. And just all the various things that are going on. And of course, we're in New Mexico, we're a border state, we're at I-40 and I-25, just the combination of all these things and her work with young girls, especially. She's very powerful. So that will be Monday night, our Zoom meeting, 6 o'clock. You'll definitely want to join us because she is excellent. So we've had two fantastic speakers in a row talking about that. Then, of course, July 11th, if you can be joining us, we are starting our in-person live Wings for Life. That's our educational meeting. That live stands for Life Skills Imparted to Families Through Education. We will be in person, but we will also be doing it by Zoom. So that means you can join us from Australia or Liberia or anywhere. It will be 6 o'clock Mountain Time. Well, actually, our program will start around 6:30 to 7:30 Mountain Time. That's when our program will be speaking. So anyway, hope you'll be joining us for that. We also have been blessed. We've got a community college here in Albuquerque called our CNM Central New Mexico Community College. And we have 4 new interns that are with us. And boy, they're already doing fantastic things for us. We're excited about that. We've had several meetings about our new building. If you've been with us in the past, you know we were awarded $1,222,000 for a new building. We are in the process of looking for a building, but we really are in the process of looking for rental space to expand our Wings Works. And of course, Sean is involved with that. And we've been talking about Wings Works. So that is going on. And then I'm going to plant a new seed October the 28th. If you can come to Albuquerque, it will be our special. Actually, it's going to be our 28th annual Celebration of Champions. We'll be celebrating 28 years on October the 28th. Now, isn't that going to be fun? And we will be having a wonderful event. We'll be inviting all of our legislators that have been supportive of us, all the people over the past 28 years that have helped us. And it's at one of our beautiful hotels here in Albuquerque called Hotel Albuquerque. And it's great, great fun. So with that, and I think, do we have Raymond on board?
He didn't come back, but he may show up later.
Well, I will just tell you what's happening with Raymond in Liberia. If Raymond can join us, we will look for him. If not, he has board meetings. So I was on that board meeting through Zoom. It's amazing that I know we probably have somebody from Australia today joining us. And
Kathy D.
Okay, there you go. And we also had a board meeting today from Liberia. And people from different spots around the United States and all over Liberia that are on his board. And he just today raised $2,000 of the $10,500 that he needs in order to get his new 30-year leased building. He needs to put a new roof and do some remodeling for that in order for him to get his Wings Works business set up over in Liberia. So that was a very exciting day today. So if any of you want to help at Liberia, every $5-10 will make a difference. You can just go to our website, make a donation, and designate it to Liberia, and every dollar goes to Liberia.
And it's a tax write-off, and we'll give you all the proper paperwork you need.
Yep. Every donation to Wings, whether it's designated Liberia or to us or any other way, it is a tax write-off because it came into us, and so you do get the tax write-off. So hope you will consider doing that. So, are there any other questions for me, or I'm going to let you go right to this wonderful speaker here?
We got some. We're doing some topic talk. I mean, human trafficking. Today we'll be talking about school violence, the shootings in school. So we are opening up doors that a lot of people do not want to talk about. And maybe that brings more viewers to our show. But we're more concerned about our children out there, aren't we?
Of course.
Both the human trafficking and the school violence. At the end of the day, it's all about our kids, right?
Of course. So, and making our community safer. Yeah. And that's what Wings is trying to do, always is trying to transform lives to break that generational cycle of incarceration. Who are the people bringing in the guns? And who are the people doing this? Troubled people who probably have incarceration somewhere in their family history. Yeah. And we've just got to help them. And if we can help them, we can start to make positive change. And that's what we're all about.
Yeah. I want to say hi to TJ and Kathy D. Katrina may not be on here today, guys. She's with her son. If you guys know he got out of prison today. There's a little clip on the Wings for Life YouTube channel if you want to see her hugging her son. So anyways, without further ado, I'm going to give you Franklin Schargel. He's written several books, but today we're talking about preventing school violence. And I know he's just been with the FBI over there in Georgia. Went through some training about school violence and stuff. He's got a lot to talk about. Ask your questions. He'll answer them. Leave your comments. And I'm going to give you Franklin.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Ann, for having me here. The incident in Uvalde, Texas, makes the book even more relevant today than it was yesterday. The book took 3 years to write, because school violence is a moving target. Let me say hello to TJ and Kathy as well.
We have 8 people watching. Great.
Okay. And it was a lot of research. The book is based on my personal life experience. What you can hear in my voice is New York City. I was a high school teacher, history teacher in New York, a school counselor, and finally an assistant principal. The research is personal. I was in 2 schools where one student was shot and killed, and in another school a student was shot and paralyzed. And school violence, of course, has taken on a new emphasis, a new very critical point. So my research was with the FBI, with the Secret Service, the National Threat Assessment, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the National Institute of Health. And if there are any viewers who would like to ask questions, feel free. The book can be...
I can put that on the screen for you.
Can be summed up in this...
Let me get rid of...
okay.
This, so they can see it. I will take this down. There we go.
The book can be summed up with the following illustration. School violence is at the center of it, but most mass shootings in the United States, and we're not the only country that has had mass shootings. There was not a shooting in Sweden, but 2 teachers were stabbed to death in Sweden. They don't have the guns. They just have,
schools in South America, I hear, have shootings too in their schools.
And I don't know if there are in Australia. It's not. So if you look at this illustration, the major cause for school shooting is bullying. The killer in Uvalde in Texas was bullied. He was bullied because he had a lazy eye and he stuttered. And in a conversation I've had, the FBI believes he was on the way to high school, because if you look at a map of Uvalde, which is a small rural community now of 17,000 people, 16,000 in the 2020 census.
That's small.
That's a small population, small rural population. And so he took his grandmother's car and crashed it outside of the elementary school. But if on the road, the elementary school, then followed by the middle school, then followed by the high school. He had been kicked out of the high school. He was possibly seeking revenge. So the first picture is bullying. And bullying has become a major critical issue in this country, and I'm sure around the rest of the world.
Like I mentioned before, bullying is one of the oldest things happening in schools. I think even my grandparents mentioned about getting bullied, but nothing violent about like today.
No.
Maybe the kids got their lunch money taken, things like that.
Yes.
But got Raymond back.
You want to interrupt for Raymond?
Let's finish your topic, and then Raymond, if you hold on tight, we'll get right to you. Okay.
So the second part of the illustration is what I call child anxiety, stress, and trauma. Our children, especially with COVID, have been dealing with anxiety, stress, and trauma. Now, most adults have the ability to deal with and have the mechanisms to deal with anxiety, stress, and trauma. Young children, especially the 7 and 8 year old, don't have that techniques, and therefore, what we're now finding, the latest research shows that the educators have now been dealing with the same thing of anxiety, stress, and trauma. And of course,
I can believe that. I'm surprised that's just now surfacing.
Right. And of course, the United States, 1 out of every 5 school superintendents, according to the National Education Association, said they will leave at the end of this year. So then we move into the next, which is suicide. Suicide has gone up dramatically. One, because schools in the United States were closed to in-person learning, and students missed conversations and the socialization. So suicide became a major cause of death in this country.
And I have a question about that. One of your questions: more males die from suicide than females. True or false?
And what's your guess, Sean?
That's a tough one because
I'm a teacher.
I'm going to say false. I'm going to say false. I think it's more women.
No, more males.
Really?
Because how do males commit suicide? Guns. The primary way of males.
I was thinking of women who cut.
Yeah, women cut. Women strangulation, and women take poison, which is the primary, which is their primary way of committing suicide. And so suicide, now, more men die of suicide, but more females, 4 to 8 times more females attempt suicide.
Attempt. Okay.
So,
which is really a cry for help, right?
Absolutely. They can't deal with the trauma.
I was told if they cut themselves this way or you cut this way, it means you want to. If you cut this way, that's a cry for help.
Right.
Is that I heard that one?
No, I haven't.
Because you'll bleed out. If you cut this way, you'll bleed out. You cut this way, it's a slow blood. And you have time to live and cry for help. So
suicide is really a cry for help. And many of the school shooters, the mass school shooters, are practicing what is called death by police.
Yeah.
Suicide by police.
They
want to get shot. They want to get killed by police. And one of their cries for help is suicide by police. And again, in Uvalde, we don't know whether that was the technique. And then the last thing that the book deals with, which is internet safety. And that becomes another major
a lot
problem.
of bullying is on social media.
Right.
which causes kids to commit suicide.
So-
It's so bad. It's so stressful.
So if,
Like that's you got them all they're
Right.
all
all interrelated.
yeah.
And the culminating event, of course, is mass school shooting and violent behavior. And so that brings the whole picture into. Now, the understanding, of course, is that all of the school shootings, mass school shootings we have had, are planned. It is not an impulse, and
So they're premeditated.
they're all premeditated. Most of the school shooters, mass school shooters, are bright people. They may be off of the wall, but they are bright people. Let's take one of the most well-known, that's a bad statement, situations in Columbine. The school shooters in Columbine planted what were called deviation bombs. They planted bombs away from the school to attract the police and fire department. And the bombs were supposed to go off before the school shooting took place. Their timing was off because the bombs went off after the killings took place. So they're well planned.
Yeah, yeah. Well, guys, we're gonna get right back to this. I want to give Raymond from Liberia, from our Wings for Life International branch in Liberia. Raymond, I'm going to give you a little chance to tell us what's going on in Africa, especially with Wings for Life. And then we'll get right back to our deep conversation here with Franklin.
Good. Thank you, brother. Yes, I've been listening to the guest in studio, and all of his point that I was saying point. Yeah, that's true. Even here, we experience this kind of stuff. However, relative to some of the things that we are doing currently in Liberia, related to Wings, is this renovation project that we have. We got this building that we lease a property for 30 years, and we're trying to get it set up so we can move in at once. And the essence of that is to create a social enterprise that will help train guys that are formerly incarcerated, as well as vulnerable youth, in carpentry related skills. So that's where we are. Today we had a very fruitful board meeting. We were able to get people situated on the board, a new board chair, and other key positions occupied. And we also was able to raise $2,000 out of $10,390 that we need to have the renovation work done.
So $2,000 in your country, I'm imagining, does that go a long way?
Yes, that go a very long way. That's a lot of money. Here we use the two currency. We use the United States dollars and that of our local money, which is the Liberian dollar. So that's how it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been a good month for you guys over there, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Even though, right now we are in the rainy season, and they should go for, it's balanced. It's 6 months, 6 months, dry season, 6 months, rainy season, 6 months. So currently we are in the rainy season. So a lot of our active things that we normally do is a bit subsided because of the rain. We cannot go this day away, and some of the prisons are very far away from Monrovia. Some 100 miles, some 45 miles, and just like that. So right now, our primary focus is just this project that we will have done, so we can start our regular activities.
Let me ask you a question, since we're talking about violence in schools. What are the schools like in your country? Is there any violence going on in those schools for the teenagers?
Yeah, Sean, to answer your question, yes. Violence, I think, is not just across the United States, it's also here. Most especially with our current dispensation, the children do not want to put in their time to learn. So when they have a teacher that is straightforward, that is principle minded, that want to do the right thing, then they go against that person. So yes, we have experienced a couple of violence in several schools across the country. Uh, like even the killing, some of them even hunt their teachers. They want to get them down because they are straightforward.
But
So
the students
these
hung,
are things that
let me ask you this.
yeah,
The students hung the teachers? Is that what I heard?
yes, that's what I said.
Wow.
So yes,
Yeah, that would
because
make me want to leave. Yeah, that would. Yeah, really.
yeah, I'm
No.
telling you.
I need to look that story up. That's something to.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that
that-
happens here. That's it.
Yeah, I don't want to go.
And one of the key causes of that is because of the drug, addiction that is surrounding Liberia.
Even in Africa, you have drug problems in your schools. Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
So this is a worldwide thing. Then this is just isn't. Wow, if this is going on,
Yeah.
the violence is
Right.
going on in Africa.
Right.
Did you know that?
Yes.
About wow.
I didn't know in Africa and or Liberia specifically, but
In,
yeah,
in fact,
worldwide.
in fact, sorry. In fact, a few months ago, there's a student that took gun at his school and killed his fellow student by mistake. Just pointed a gun at her like he's trying to play, and boom,
Yeah.
he shot her up. Yeah.
Wow. So there's
Yeah, a
even
teenager.
gun violence in your country.
How
Yeah.
old was the shooter?
He's somewhere around 16. He's a teenager. Somewhere around 16.
And the victim?
the same age group.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. So this is not a local thing.
No.
And this is not like you can't really blame it on economy or
Right.
maybe social media has something to do with all. Because
Well,
I know we have social media everywhere in the world.
right.
Do the kids in your country have access to the computers and social media websites? Do you think maybe that has anything to do with the violence that's going on in your country in the schools, or am I just off guessing?
Well, you see, Liberia is a country that just came from war. We fought 13 years civil war. So a lot of them hear the news, of the past and things like that. I think there where the violence is coming from. Sometimes too, yes, I want to link it to the social media and that of movies that they watched. They think that is a play when you have a gun. It's a toy, but it's not really so. You see, so
No, it's not a toy.
these are things that Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Raymond, is suicide a problem in Liberia as well?
Yes, but it's not at a very high level. Most people you find killing themselves is based on poverty. Like we got a couple of banks here that give out loan to people, and sometimes when those people fail to pay the loan because of the tension that is mounted on them, some of them take their life. Yeah. Also, some men here also kill themselves because of jealousy. Yeah, we know a couple of stories here that been happening that way because they think that their wife is cheating or something like that, so they take their lives as well. So
Wow, I'm learning a lot today.
scenarios.
I'm learning a lot today, Raymond. Okay. Well, Raymond, I do want to get back with my guest here, but let me give you the last word. And you don't have to go away. You can stay on the screen, but I did want to get back to Franklin. But let me give you some last words that you want to tell the world out there.
Well, basically, I think whatever is happening there is also happening here. That's why we need to collaborate. That's why we need people that are like-minded, to see how they can help the world. This is not just about America; it's also about Africa and the world at large. So, with our project that we have going on, we think we can make a better impact when all is done, because we can engage the school. Like what we've been doing in the past through our 40 developmental assets. These are things that we can go to schools and engage them, and that will help. to minimize some of those violence. So we are asking the world or whoever is listening to see how best they can help us with our project. Like I said from the onset, we were able to raise $2,000 out of $10,319 that we need to erect that project or get it finished. So if we have anybody that's listening that want to help, they can just pass through Wings for Life International and help us with whatever they can.
Yeah, let me tell people out there. So this is tax. It will be tax deductible. You can, the numbers going across your screen right here, and you call us. And if you want to donate to help Liberia, just let us know that you want to earmark your donation for Liberia. It's completely tax deductible. We'll give you all the tax paperwork that you need, and it will really, really help out people in Liberia. So,
Raymond, nice meeting you.
Well, Raymond, thank you once again, and you'll be here. You'll be back next week too, right? And,
Right.
And you don't have to go anywhere. I'm just going to shrink you on the screen, but you can. I'll let you stay there, and you can watch the show live. Gonna try something new today, guys. If you want to talk to Franklin and ask him a question, we are going to try this, and this is our phone number here at Wings for Life: 505-291-6412. We'll put you on speaker. We'll give you a few minutes. And if you want to say something to Franklin, now we're going to take a chance because we don't have a call screener. I'm going to trust you people. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And let's get back here to Franklin. We were talking about Uvalde, Texas. Something I wanted to ask you. I saw the interview with the teacher on David Muir on the night one was one of those ABC. So the teacher was in tears. He watched all 11 of the students get shot. He was trained to tell the kids to hide under their desks. Right. He said once that happened, he felt like the kids were sitting ducks. Right. And when the shooter came in, there they were, find them. Right. So my thing was, how do you feel? Was he right? Was he wrong? Was that trained by the FBI? Maybe you can tell us about this.
Well, the FBI has changed their techniques. They're now saying that there are three techniques that they are using. First is to run, and to run around the building so that the bricks of the building protect you, and that the teacher should say, okay, I need you to run, Sean, I need you to run out, and I need you to run, not to run behind a wall.
To run outside?
To run outside.
And how do I get there? There's no doors that go outside. Break the window?
No, there are doors, and that's one of the...
Not all schools.
Yes, all schools are supposed...
Outside doors?
Yes. Especially because of fire drills.
I don't remember outside doors in my school.
Especially because of fire drills. Okay. You can, and so the politician who recommended that thoughts and prayers are going to stop the bullets coming from an AR is wrong. No. And to have a single door that every student goes through to come in, that's also silly, because school, let's say, begins at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you have in a high school 3,600 students. It's not like an airport where people spend the time showing up for their flights. So to run away and not hide behind, because an AR weapon fires bullets that will go through doors and windows and all sorts of things. The other thing is, and one of the things I recommend in the book, is that nobody should be allowed in the school unless the book bag they're carrying is clear plastic.
That's
right. Yeah. Because you're not going to stop school violence. You will cut down on the possibility. So the first thing that the FBI recommends is to run. But if it's a teacher or if it's the child who just testified, it's called survivor's guilt. The young lady who testified in the House of Representatives yesterday, she took her best friend's blood, smeared it over her body.
I did hear that.
And
so she could look like
she played dead.
Played dead.
A
Right.
very sharp young lady.
Played possum, kind of.
But she's going to be traumatized for the rest of
Sure.
her life. Second technique of the FBI is if you're not going to run, but to hide. And to hide, most school shooters are not intruders. The one in Sandy Hook was an intruder. Most of the school shooters are students, former students, and students in other schools. So that people and the teacher, if we have any educators listening, the educators should have the child's phone shut off.
Okay.
Because they will call their mother or the mother will call the child, and that will designate where that child is hiding.
Oh.
So they should hide and not hide behind a file cabinet. An AR bullet will go through file cabinet.
What do you think about this with the 11 kids and the teacher were in the classroom? If they took all their desks and chairs and pile them up against the door,
Again,
so when he tries to get through, he sees that it's a big barricade.
Yes.
Maybe he moves on to the
he
next
will move,
classroom.
and that's a good point. And yes, the other thing that the FBI informed me of, which I hadn't thought about, is what is the best weapon in a school?
Fire extinguisher?
Fire.
Oh,
You got
I
it.
just lucky guess.
Every classroom in every school should have these metal fire extinguishers. So at the very least, they can shoot the foam at, or they can hit the killer. So we're now through one. First technique is to run. Second is to hide. And the third technique, now back to the fire extinguisher, is to fight.
Now that one there, I don't know which kids are going to be tough enough or scared enough or too frightened. Sometimes that adrenaline takes over and maybe they'll surprise you.
Absolutely.
How hard, difficult would that be?
Oh, it's going to be, but it literally is a fight of death and life. That's the decision. Are you going to fight to live, or are you going to not fight? And that becomes part of the problem.
Yeah, fighting for our life. We're not taught that.
Right. We're not right.
And maybe we should be.
Right. And
at least when it comes to your life.
The other thing,
Ann is here with
Katrina is on the phone,
Oh,
calling in. And so, Katrina, what's your question?
Yeah, I was going to put her on this phone, but
okay. What is your question, Katrina?
You have a speaker?
I don't have a question.
You want me to play the video? I saw that, and it's already on the Wings for Life YouTube channel. But let me see if I can pull it up for you guys. It's 28 seconds long.
Okay.
So let's see here, guys.
It's a 27-second video.
Yeah.
My son was surprisingly immediately released because, lo and behold, guess what? The BOP and all of its infinite wisdom didn't calculate his First Step Act credit until Tuesday afternoon, and then they found out that he was supposed to be released on February 28th.
Oh, no.
101 days.
I'm trying to find it here, Katrina, but I don't know if I...
Okay, well, Katrina, the good news is if he was going to be on probation and parole, he's just now gained 120 days that he doesn't have to deal with that.
Well, 101 days.
Or 101 days.
Him and his lawyer have been talking about getting his probation knocked down to next to nothing because 101 days of incarceration
here it is
worth a whole lot of probation. So
yes, it is.
Filing some paperwork about that, and I'm gonna hang up so I can go back and watch.
Okay.
Hopefully, hopefully Sean will be able to show the video because
Yeah, it's not letting me play it on the show. But it is on the Wings for Life YouTube channel. It's the first video there, but it's not letting me pull it up. I'm sorry. It was the file because it came from a phone.
Yeah.
But I can't play it live. But it's already on our YouTube,
Yeah,
Wings
it's on
for
our
Life
YouTube,
channel.
Katrina. And thank you for calling. We're thrilled that your son is home, and we wish them the best. Okay.
Oh, I don't need. Excuse me, I don't need to see it. I was there.
Okay, I'm gonna get off the phone so we can get back to the interview here. But
I thought this phone.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
We were trying
Thank you,
something-
Katrina.
we were trying something new.
Bye bye.
I want to say hello to Harvey out there. Harvey Talks Prison. Harvey did 29 years in Missouri State Prisons. He's got a great channel. Go check it out. Harvey Talks Prison. Got a question for you here, Franklin, from Paige Watts. She says, where should students hide?
Paige, it's a great question. As I indicated, they should hide as in back of something that is stable. They should look for brick walls. They should look for exterior walls. They should hide in the halls where there generally are thicker walls than in classrooms.
So let's say they're already in the classroom and the bells and everything's going off. Where are they going to hide there?
They should get out of the classroom.
Get out of the classroom.
Right.
They're in the hallways. They're putting their books away. Right. The bells and whistles. Everybody's scattering. What do? Follow the crowd.
They should get out of the building.
Get out of the building.
And they should not turn around and take their cameras, their cell phones, and try to take pictures of the killers. That's the worst possible thing they could do.
Okay.
And that unfortunately becomes a reality. I would like to talk about some things. Number one, I have just done a PBS special that is posted on my website. I would like to give my website.
Let me put that back on there. I had it here, and I will put it back. There's your website there. It's Schargel.com.
Right.
A tongue twisted there. His website's there. Guys, this is his book. Let me hold it up to the camera over here. Preventing School Violence. You guys see it? It's on Amazon.com.
Right.
It's on your website, I believe.
Yes.
And is it on Barnes & Noble?
Yes. It's all up and down, and I thank you for the plug.
There's other books he wrote too as well. This is the one we'd like you to check out today because this is what's going on today.
And I have just posted on my website. If you go to my website and you go to the first column, it's called blog. Dr. Jennifer Massey, who is a doctor, holds a doctorate, and she's a school social worker and a dropout prevention. I asked Jennifer, who is also a friend, to, as an educator, as a parent, as a grandparent, as someone who has nephews and nieces, why don't you do me a favor and interview them and tell me what their reaction is to the school violence? So she has sent me that. That was posted very early this morning. If you go on, if you look up Jennifer, it's an absolutely brilliant piece on what we need to know, because again, these children are going through trauma of the worst kind. Unfortunately, parents have got to assume responsibility for a lot of what is taking place. They have to speak to their child every single day and say, how was your day? I go out to eat at restaurants and I see parents sitting with their child at restaurant.
And they're all on the phone.
Right.
Everybody's
and the
on
parent
the phone.
is not talking to the child. The child is on their cell phone or using an iPad or whatever. Right. And parents are on cell phone.
I worked in restaurants 30 years. I worked
right
before cell phones and after cell phone.
Right.
And there was times when I was a waiter and I would have to sit there and I'm trying to take their order, and not even the parent wants to put the phone down.
Right. So
why are you bothering going out for a family dinner in the first place?
right. And that word family dinner is a
And
crucial
you're lucky you
thing.
have a family to have the
Right.
dinner with.
Right.
We don't all have that option.
So
or it's a single family. But why are you taking your kids out if you can stare at the phone anywhere?
also, children should not be on the phone at night. Parents have got to remove the phone. For me, nighttime is for sleeping or reading. Also, television. Parents should not allow their child to look at the latest headlines, because if it bleeds, it leads. No matter where I travel. That's the first thing. It was the first thing in Savannah. Before that, it was the first thing in Orlando. It's the first thing in Kentucky. Children do not have to go to sleep with the vision of death in their face.
I want to, on that, I have a few, that's right along one of the couple questions I had, what parents can do. Now, you tell me, is this too extreme or not? Should parents search their kids' rooms from time to time looking for guns or ammunition? Do they have the right to? Of course, they have the right to, but how do you feel about that?
Parents should be aware if their child has a weapon. That's the other thing. Most of the weapons used in mass school shootings are not illegally obtained. They come from parents. So parents need to lock up the gun in a gun safe, and they need to lock up the bullets in another
So
gun
this is
safe.
assuming these are good parents,
Right.
because we have bad parents
Right.
out there.
We have, yes.
I've even heard stories the parent, gave the child the gun to go.
Right.
I knew what the kid was going to do.
Right.
But didn't want to,
The other thing is the killer in Texas, his parents kicked him out of the house. And so he went to live with his grandparents. And unfortunately, his grandparents said, you cannot use your cell phone. And so he shot his grandmother in the face.
One of the questions I had, should the parents read their text messages on their kids' phones?
I think depending on the age
Or
of the child.
Is there a right to privacy on that?
No.
And social media posts, their Facebooks,
By the way,
their
if you're-
Instagrams, their TikToks, the parents have a right to their accounts. If I was a good parent, I would want their passwords, and I would want to check that to see what they're up to. That's just me. I don't know if
in the workshops I do, parents say, the parents say, it's like taking away their right arm. And I said, you know something? That's your right. They do not own the phone. You are the owner of the phone. If they give you a fight, you simply say, I'm going to cut off that phone and let's not play games with it. And that's the technique. But that assumes that the parent is going to assume the responsibility.
Assuming we have a responsible parent. That was brought up right themselves.
Right.
Parents, I mean, this goes on for generations.
Right. Absolutely.
And our dysfunctional families, our violent families, the domestic violence in families.
You also have single
like
parents.
My father's father beat that father. My great grandfather beat my great grandfather. My great grandfather beat my grandfather. My grandfather beat my father. My father beat me.
I don't want to be part of your family.
And now I think I've stopped the cycle.
Right. And that's part of but you assumed the responsibility for that. You assumed that I am going to be the adult in the room. I am going to be the adult in the house. And you've assumed that. We need, again, we have in the United States, I mean, over 50% of all marriages in the country end in divorce. We have single parents who are attempting to earn a living, to prepare food, to educate their child, to do all of this. That's a great deal of responsibility. Yeah. By the way, the other thing, especially after this incident in Texas, we are giving a great deal of responsibility now to educators. In addition to being an educator, parents educators are being told, well, you have to take a gun. I do not want a kindergarten teacher with a gun in a classroom. I mean, that is, it's going to be stolen. It's going to be lost. It's going to be left. There are just too many things. Putting more guns in school is not the answer to gun violence.
So someone in our live studio audience passed me a note here. Parents want to be cool and their kid's best friend. You know, that's that new age kind of parenting thing. I can only speak that when the kid grows up and the parent grows, I don't know how to answer that. I don't think a parent should be a kid's best friend.
Right.
But you want to be on
You
some
wanna
kind
be a
of
friend,
friendship
right.
level, but you don't want to be besties,
Right.
BFFs, and all that, right?
Right. They don't want to go down to their level. You want the child to reach up to your level.
You want that respect as the mother or the father.
Right.
You want to be the mentor and the friend, but to be the best friend, and let's do everything together. And yeah,
The FBI informed me because, as you can see on those of you who are looking, older. I won't say old, but I'm older. And where do these children get their information? The number one source, according to the FBI, is TikTok.
yeah, that TikTok that's what their kids are all into. That TikTok and
Yes.
Instagram and Snapchat,
Right.
And
And
there's some other ones we don't even know about.
right. And some of them are really, because in the research, something called
Tinder. Oh no, that's sex.
Right.
It's people seeking
Right.
sexual encounters with someone
Right.
which a child should not be on. Legally, you have to wait till you're 18, kids. I'm sorry, and we all know this, and you don't, but that's against the law.
But the automobile industry, very interesting, realized that giving somebody a license to an automobile is putting the possibility of a weapon, a killing weapon, in the hands. And so they have instituted certain rules. Rule number one is bumpers have got to be a certain height. The automatic transmissions have got to be. So we require a test and a license. The killer in Texas walked into a store and bought an AR killing weapon with over 300 rounds of ammunition. The same day, the killer in Buffalo did the exact same thing. That there's an insanity there. I was in the military.
But
And
you were trained. That's the difference. I was
and
going to
my-
get to that.
And my training took 8 weeks. And the basic requirement of that training was you had to qualify for firing. They're now saying,
Wow.
politicians are now saying that we are going to give guns to teachers and we are going to train them for 8 hours.
8 hours. That's nothing.
And they can.
And is that just watching a video and
Right,
something online?
right, yes.
Is that even, are they really even going to fire the gun
No.
with somebody next to them?
No, and we will renew their license if they already have a license, and we will renew their license for 1 hour of training.
Well, I think anyone that buying a gun should have a mental evaluation. It's done once a year at least, and a real thorough one too.
And I believe anyone who buys a gun. By the way, you know that we have more guns in this country than we have people. We have
most gun owners have more than one gun.
right. So, and that gun population is not evenly spread. The average gun owner in this country, according to the FBI, owns 8 guns. I mean,
that's average, huh?
yes, that's the average. I know somebody in this city who very proudly showed me a picture of his 325 guns.
Wow. We got a few comments here talking about this. And Katrina, thank you for calling in. And she's saying, look at the last couple seconds. Oh, that's the video with That was your brother taking the video. But Kathy D says, violence in schools is so very sad. I couldn't imagine how those children go to school each day. Now, she's from Australia. Kathy, let us know what violence in school is like in Australia. Do you know?
No, it's not as prevalent as it is in this country. But yes, Kathy, it's a great question. If you go to my website, you'll see a section dealing. There are over 1,000 pages on my website, and you'll find about what I had talked about earlier, which is child anxiety, stress, and trauma. And I had 2 psychologists prior to publication review that, and I called child anxiety, stress, and trauma child PTSD, and the 2 psychologists at Franklin, we never thought about it. The symptoms of PTSD and child anxiety and stress and trauma are identical. So we have to deal with that. And in this country, again, Kathy, I know that you're not. In this country, we're now having educators facing the same kind of trauma. We have had, even though most schools in the United States were closed last year to
COVID, right?
Because of COVID, were closed to in-person learning. The 2021 school year, 2021 to 2022 school year, was the most violent school year in American history in the past 10 years.
So it's been getting worse.
Right.
Yeah. Katrina says a great parent is 50% spy. And Kathy D says, as a parent, I can't imagine sending my children to school thinking they might not come home. Yeah, the last thing you ought to be worried about is sending your kids to school to be educated and worrying if they're going to make it home. And
I liked Justin's comment.
Yeah, great website, by the way. And thank you, Justin. And Paige has something here. Do you think that the focus of potential gun violence in schools, i.e. classroom trainings on what to do in a mass shooting, causes more violence? It certainly creates an environment of fear. Well, that's a lot.
Yes.
Shall I read that again, or did you hear that?
I heard that. You're absolutely right, Paige. It does create, and as long as we have what are called school resource officers, I have been in a number of schools. I do workshops and travel. It's now spoken in 14 countries. I have been in 49 states doing workshops. But the problem is that our school resource officers need to be on roving patrols. They should not be sitting behind a desk. They should start on the top floor of the school, walk their way down. The minute they reach the first floor, the next resource officer should start on, so if there is, the potential for violence, that is immediately stopped. Again, you're not going to eliminate it. Let me give you one of the opening lines from the book. Schools need to be sanctuaries of safety before they become citadels of learning. They need parents.
Sanctuary first, then.
Right. Yeah. Parents, children, and educators need, before to know that they are in a safe learning environment. And that has got to be the primary concern of educators.
A question I had for you, what do you think about students having mental evaluations once a year? Because it's usually the students that come back and do the shootings, right?
Yes. So, and that we have to convince. By the way, in the United States, I used to be a school counselor. The caseload for school counselors is one school counselor to 450 students. They are doing crash guidance.
And are these counselors even qualified to spot anything?
And we have a shortage. The last book, this is book 14. The last
this
book,
is your 14th book?
Yes.
Wow.
The last book is called Who Will Teach the Children? We don't have enough teachers. We do not have enough substitute teachers. We cannot buy substitute teachers. We do not have enough special education teachers. We do not. So we are spending, estimate, $6 billion a year on protecting the physical health of students and educators. And we don't have enough school counselors. We don't have enough school nurses. We have school nurses in this country who roam from building to building. I just received in Savannah that a school nurse said she is 19 minutes, because she's in 4 schools. She's 19 minutes away from any of her neighboring schools. The school shootings take place within minutes, not 19 minutes. So, and there's just an insanity in a very well-known school shooting. The school was built over a period of time, and the teachers in the school weren't able to get from one building to the other building. So they asked the administrator for cell phones, and the administrator said, no, we can't get you cell phones because, I'm quoting now, according to the book, because you might use them. So the first call to the police, 911, came from a student, not from an educator.
Wow.
Now, after the incident, 18 grief counselors were appointed to the school. So one, and the book indicates, the first thing that happens when a person decides to move into any community and they go to a real estate agent, the first question that you generally ask is, what are your schools like?
Yeah, that's very
The
popular.
second question that now will come into play is, how safe are your schools?
Now it's how safe are your schools?
So the business community, no matter where that business community is, needs to get involved with the school situation.
Now safe doesn't necessarily. You used to think the worst neighborhoods would be the worst. They would not be the safest schools. Right. But lately, it could be the rich neighbor. You don't know where. I mean, right. You can't judge a school by its location anymore, can you? Or how much money? The demographic. Is it a rich neighborhood, a poor neighborhood? It doesn't matter anymore.
No, it doesn't. So if we look at school shootings, mass school shootings, they have taken place in public schools. They have taken place in charter schools. They have taken place in parochial schools. They have taken place on Native American reservations. They have taken place in Jewish parochial schools. They have taken place in inner cities. They have taken place in suburban communities. Yeah. They have taken place in rural communities. If you look at Uvalde, you did not know Uvalde before the school incident. You didn't know of Kankakee, Kansas. You didn't know of West Kentucky. I mean, it's all over.
I never heard of that.
And
we have a question about it. Justin wants to know: have you seen Bowling for Columbine?
Yes.
And that's a movie. Is that a comedy movie, or that the movie made fun of it, or Bowling for Columbine?
Yes, it was done. I'm trying to remember who was done.
Untasteful,
right.
Or was it?
It was meant as a comedy thing.
Okay.
But Jeff Peterson, who is was the superintendent from the Lake
Montessori schools, yeah.
Lake School District. And Sean, then I'd like you to read a paragraph from the book.
Sure, you bet.
It said, this could happen anywhere, said the superintendent, where 5 students were shot and 3 students were killed. Anywhere now is everywhere.
We just heard even in Liberia it's going on.
So can you do me a favor?
Sure.
Can you read the first paragraph here?
Yeah, you bet. I worked in another school where one student stated, I study in my bathtub at night because it's the only place in my house which is bulletproof. After we stopped a student who was carrying a knife from entering our school, the parent told me, you have it wrong. He wasn't bringing a knife to school. He was taking it out of our neighborhood. In the morning when he comes to school, he walks over bullet casings, and at night he walks over drug paraphernalia. He needs the knife to protect himself. These incidents do not get reported. not because they did not happen or are unimportant, but because they do not result in multiple casualties. We do not know the challenges students face in their desire to come to school.
We don't ask students. Most students want to come to school, and we don't know the challenges they're facing in order to get to school, as this pointed out. The young lady who said, I study in my bathtub at night because the only place that made the front cover of Time magazine.
Yeah.
We have got to realize we have to start looking at students and start finding out what are the challenges they face.
Right.
I
had a question about that. I did some research before you came here today. I found that there's been more stabbings in schools than gun shootings. Have you heard that?
Yes,
but because they're not massive, you're not stabbing 10 people, they're only stabbing one each other.
Right.
It doesn't get reported.
And those are basically inner city schools that's taking place.
Yeah.
So the media does not report on anything that's not mass. And I was invited down to a place where I won't mention, it's an embarrassment. I was invited down to a school by the health department and traveled to the school, and a student had brought an AR-15 into a middle school and had shot up the entire gym.
Wow.
And I said, gee, I didn't hear about that. And the reason I didn't hear about it, the assistant principal told me, well, it took place, but nobody was killed. And so I went into the gym, and there were bullet holes all over the gym. And in that school, the school resource officers, there were 3 school resource officers, they were sitting behind the table. The wrong impression you want to give, especially a week after a school shooting. And the assistant principal said it made the headlines locally, it made the state headlines, but since nobody died, the media wasn't.
That's the media for you. We were just talking homicide cells.
Right.
Got a few questions here. Katrina says, many school shooters were bullied. They got no relief by going to the school administration. They finally snapped.
Katrina, let me just answer an unasked question. If your child is in a school and has a teacher, and the teacher allows bullying, as a parent, I would go to the principal and say, I want my child removed. If that didn't happen, I would go to the school board and say, I want my child removed. And if you didn't get, as you have emphasized, no relief, I would go to the media and say, this is what is happening to my child. If it was my child, it wouldn't happen.
Thank you. Kathy D says that is heartbreaking. Question from Justin here. I've heard the news has a big impact, like you should invite them to your schools to eat and stuff. I'm not sure what he means by that. Invite the news. You mean you want media to come to your schools and have lunch and see what goes on there? I'm not sure what he means.
Justin, at the school I was at as an assistant principal, I invited the police and fire department to come to my school and play basketball in the school gym, so that the school itself was, and this is in New York City, was not unfamiliar to them. They knew where they could go. They knew where the gym was. They knew where the cafeteria was. We supplied them with snacks. And that was probably one of the best things that could have happened. And you can do that because the people who are putting their lives on the line for us, the police and fire, should be recognized for what they're doing.
Katrina says, unfortunately, it usually makes the bullying worse. I guess she's referring to what you had said earlier. It has been over an hour, but I want to finish, if it's okay with you. There's a little topic I wanted to talk about. You mentioned all these shortages for teachers. So, and I even did on my channel, I put a little short video on letting felons teach in the public schools, at least high school. And I don't mean your serial killers and your rapists. I'm talking about the non-violent felons that have turned their life around. Maybe they're off, maybe wait till they're off probation. But, some of us, especially those rough schools, me having been a returning citizen is what we're called though. I mean, I was taught classes in prison by other inmates. I took geometry just to refresh my brain by another man who had credentials. A lot of us are educated that come out of prison. We get college degrees while we're in there. And I don't mean just talk about the streets and growing. I mean, we can teach math. We can teach history. We can teach physical education. And there's a shortage. We need jobs. In my book, we've done our time. We've served I've paid my debt to society.
Right.
I've forgiven myself. God has forgiven me, but you won't forgive me. And you won't let me teach your children. While there's teachers that are going out and getting drunk and doing DUIs and never getting caught and breaking laws and all this stuff. We got caught. We did our time. We paid our debt. We're turning over a new leaf. In my opinion, is we would make great teachers.
I also think that those individuals you're mentioning should be turned into SROs, school resource officers. I think we make a mistake. I think educators make a mistake.
You have a shortage, but you have here's an answer.
I think educators make a mistake by not realizing that schools need not to change. Schools change all the time. The question is, schools need to improve. We measure change and think we're measuring improvement. I don't want schools to change. I want them to improve. And how do we improve? The schools, most of the schools in this country were built 10 years, 30 years, 40 years ago. And what used to be entrances and exits, and we need to improve. And the question then becomes, how do you measure improvement? What do schools have to do to improve? We need to realize that we're not living not only in the 1990s, but we're not even living in the beginning of the 21st century. And that has to change dramatically. We're sacrificing our future by sacrificing the lives of children.
Well, I think it's about time to wrap it up, Franklin. Let me give you the last words, the message for the people out there. And don't forget, Preventing School Violence on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble. Go to Schargel.com. Get your book today. Here's the author.
Again, Sean, Ann, thank you for having me here. I do appreciate it. Let me again point out, go to my website.
Schargel.com.
Schargel.com. And take what you need, which will make your journey easier. Thank you again, Joe.
Thank you very much, Franklin. And guys, next week we have our own Daniel L. We're going to talk about the cycle of incarceration, the revolving doors. He's one of our volunteers here at Wings for Life, so you can get an inside look at what the other people that work here at Wings for Life. Anyways, we'll see you guys all next week. God bless everybody. Thanks for watching. Great.